Oh, we're missing Derek, actually, sorry. Is he a speaker? Yes?
Yes, Derek's a speaker.
Right, okay.
Oh, when you say signed in, you mean they raised their hands?
No,
No, they're signed in the room.
into the
We're
room.
missing Derek.
Alan's food. Unmute Alan's food. Say hello.
That's good.
Come on. Let's say hello to Alan. This is fun.
Okay, Alan Ford's on. iPad's on. Okay. I wonder if iPad is actually Derek.
Where's my...
It's right here.
I'm lighting the candles. I'm recording.
There's Alan Ford, Flood. Gary Swan. Okay, Gary, good.
Words on candlelight.
I guess I'm giving up on the house sound. I have the music playing. But I guess I'll give up on it.
Nice of him too.
I can fix my hair.
Micah, I should be doing the phone social distancing.
Is Zoom already installed?
No, he's trying, but he's not having luck. But he's not on the network, eh, Micah? Is it on?
Should be now.
You found it that fast?
Yes.
We want to.
Okay, I'm stopping my video. Okay, there's Gary Swan's on. Jacqueline Michaels down at the bottom. Okay.
Gary Swan, yeah.
Yay! Okay, you can hear me, but you're not gonna be able to see me.
No. Oh yes, the swan. The swans. Sorry.
So if you're gonna speak, let me know and raise your hands if you're speaking tonight.
Carl,
Let us know.
Carl, I'm doing the who's speaking. Once we start, I'll do the speaking.
Okay.
You guys are just doing it during the breaks and helping people and getting them set up.
We have some wicked wicks over here.
Wicked wicks. And
Okay, 5-minute call, 5-minute call.
oh, you guys are good. How about you, Carl?
Yeah?
Could you leave the chat list to Stephen and he can make his own list?
Yeah.
I'm lighting candles. This is so much fun. I'm so excited.
Who's lined up for us, Carl?
There you go.
Okay, we got, I guess, Swan.
It's his first time.
Jackie Swan?
So make him a new...
Jack, yeah, whatever. I'm hoping Jacqueline has no camera, so okay. I'm sitting, and then Poirier.
Who?
Poirier, whatever.
Poirier?
Poirier. Sorry, am I saying it wrong?
No, it's Karen Poirier. Well, it's French, I think.
Poirier.
Yeah.
Your husband is French.
Okay, I'm going to do something fun.
And then I'm assuming Jacqueline Carmichael's gonna talk.
Oh, I got Jackie Carmichael. Yes.
This is fun.
I got Bob, Jackie Swan, Karen, Jackie Carmichael.
And that I don't know who else is gonna talk tonight here. I don't know who this Colleen is. If she's gonna speak or not.
Oh, we'll find out.
I'm not.
Hello, Karen.
I'm not reading.
Okay, Karen's not gonna read. Okay.
Thank you.
You're just watching. Well, we appreciate the audience.
We do.
Your talent.
Oh, this is so cool.
Oh, sorry, just a sec.
Whoa.
Oh, feedback.
Okay.
Steven? Put Winter down. I think he's gonna talk, hopefully. So I'll have Winter. Oh, Derek's on. Yay, welcome, Derek.
Oh, boy.
Someone's echoing. Oopsies. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Oh, it's still echoing.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself here for now.
Hello? Okay. I think I'm not. Okay, I'm not going to talk.
Bye. See? You turn on the video, you can see. You turn off the video, you'll get a still.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, 1 minute call.
We have this great echo going on. It's fabulous.
Okay. I got rid of it. Stephen talk?
Okay, this is me welcoming everyone to Alberni Valley Words on Fire for April. Woohoo!
Yay!
Yay!
Now, just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy, can you hear Stephen?
I can hear, yes.
Yes.
Carl, can you hear Stephen?
Yes.
Okay, please mute everybody except
Just a second.
Camera 1 and Mike. Mute everybody else, please. Whew. So I just want you guys to see what we are doing here.
Ha!
So there's
Welcome to the chaos.
There's the camera that's recording Stephen. Can anybody hear me? Here's the camera that's recording the big screen TV so that Stephen can see what's going on.
Yeah, I can see what's going on, eh?
Carl, can you unmute, please?
I'm unmuted. I lost the chat. Okay. Hello? I'm confused. What did I do? Okay, exit view. Oh, there we go. Phew. Okay, I don't want big screen. How are you doing, Stephen?
If you're not able to, I will. There's Spotlight Stephen.
Hey.
And then we got Micah here being 6 feet COVID gloves
Woo! Good job, Micah.
We got lots going on here. And it's Char, see?
Woo!
Remember? Oh, and this is me, Char. I'm admin tonight, and I'm going to be doing the camera and mic at the speakers. And you thought I had troubles handling that 5-minute bell? Well, let me just tell you, I'm so right now.
We are not having a 5-minute bell.
There's no 5-minute bell tonight.
No 5-minute bell,
Take it.
And no hooking. No, and Stephen doesn't have to hook anybody off the stage either.
Yeah, yeah. So anyways, there's Char's. I miss you guys, and I'm
We
so
miss
happy.
you too, Charlene.
Thank you, Stephen. And you see, we did the
Candles.
The candles, cause
It's Words on Fire!
Okay,
Okay.
so Char is going back into silent mode. I'm turning off this somehow disabling this. All for everything, and I'm going to do that. And Carl and Stephen with Nancy Webster as our guest helping us.
Yes, assistant, huh?
And I'm going to say bye.
All right.
Okay. 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 So.
Is everybody out there having a good time?
Yay! Everybody can
Woo!
reaction
I got one poem for you, a new one for you guys. Hope you can all hear this one. I've titled it Harbor Key Inspired. A bird sounding his alarm, one note at a time. Call him, I shouldn't have. Call him Staccato. Yeah. But, and you recorded that. Hey, how was that, eh?
Yay! Oh, sorry, just a minute.
Is everybody on mute?
Just a minute. Yeah, we're all on mute. Clap. See, Stephen?
Yes?
There, we can do clap.
Clap, clap, clap,
Just a
clap,
minute, clap. Reaction, clap.
Oh, we got Colleen. Yay!
See, reaction, clap.
Yay!
We'll get good at it. And see.
Oh, that's Jackie and Derek. And I'm telling you guys, it's like romper room around here. I see Derek and Libbie and James and everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Look at that! Waza! Well, since it's the COVID pandemic and all that wonderful support out there, I figured I found a poem that I thought was relevant for all the heart support out there. The heart's my favorite to draw. It's easy. Drop your pen tip point anywhere on paper. Draw a line a little upwards, then curve to the left, diagonal down, like following Cupid's arrow, until I feel like stopping. Return to the original beginning. Draw a line upwards, curving to the right now. Follow Cupid's arrow again, to meet up with where I left off. Easy, eh? Now, go ahead and try it. Use a pen, pencil, crayon, paint, chalk, stick in the sand, finger in the sky, knife blade and tree trunk. Attach the string to the bottom, if desired. Sit back and admire your work.
See the claps. Clap,
Yeah.
clap, clap.
Hey. That was nice. So I'm audible to all you guys, eh?
He would have it in his room now, or I'll write down the link for you.
And then there's Rory.
Oh, we got Rory. Woohoo!
Hey, hi, Rory.
Alrighty. Poem number 3. Turn on the stars. Turn on the stars. Turn up the brightness so I can see the light. So I can see the light that's taken my lifetime so far to get here, to be seen, to be praised, to be prayed to. Turn on the stars. I've seen them all before. Dazzling. More stars than Vegas has bulbs. Duh. Turn on the stars and hold my hand, and let's count together. Turn on the stars. Turn on the stars. One by one. Boy, that's a lot of switches. Alright, I've got pulled up one more poem for you all, because again, inspired by the COVID. This one I figured was, since we're all quarantined and what are we doing at home? So I am pulling out a record. I am pulling out a record. I am thinking about my sister. It is not her playing, but it is her instrument. I wipe away the dust from the old house, the shared house of our childhood together. She, 4 years older than me, and playing exquisite music on the piano. I just press the keys, sometimes make a chord, but lack the confidence, the training, the knowledge, the know-how, the experience to transition to the next chord. The record reminds me of my sister. I am keeping these records. Yay! Woohoo! Thank you, thank you. So now,
So you can see them all clapping there. So-
excellent.
Oh, do this, guys. Do this. Clap, clap. If you clap this way, it's the Zoom way. This way. Then you get the borders. There you go, right? That we're clapping with each other. We're together.
Okay, that's me. So, who should we call up first from open micers?
Carl.
Carl. Who's first up on the list with that hand waving up in the air?
I don't see anybody's hands up yet.
Okay, you volunteers out there?
Okay.
Come on, raise your hands.
Does anyone know to go into participant? And below participant, it says invite, and then there's raise hand.
If you don't know how to do that, we'll appoint you.
Good. I can't do it on my CD. Oh, there's Jackie Carmichael. She's the first then. Do you see Jackie's hand is raised?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I see it. Yep. Okay, Jackie's first.
Okay, then. Let's all listen to Jacqueline Carmichael.
Yay! Yay! So I'm going to spotlight her, and I'm.
Oh, wow, there she is.
Yeah, and just a sec, I'm going to get good at this, but I'm going to unmute her. Unmute Jack. I'll get there.
Excuse me.
Sorry, just a moment.
You
Oh,
want to help there, Char?
wait.
She's a lot better at this than I am, and she's freaking out.
Char, do you want me to unmute her?
Just a minute. I'm going to get.
Find her.
I promise I'll get good at this.
Okay.
There she is now.
There we go.
Sorry. Jacqueline Carmichael, speak, please.
Hello. All right. Hello, my friends. So are you good for me to go?
Yeah.
All right. So I was about 2 weeks into binge watching all of Netflix that I could, and I'd pretty much drained the internet when I realized that my response to COVID needed to be a little more proactive. And so I decided, I had a story in my head, and I decided to create a children's ebook. It's going so well, I'm going to do a print version as well. And it's called, it's changed names a little bit, but the new name is My Read Aloud Tales About Social Distancing. Woohoo! So, without further ado, it is a children's ebook. So, and I'm sorry you can't see the pictures, but I've put masks on photos of animals. And so, when you hear about the great horned owl, he has got he's got a mask on. It's just an actual owl, but he's wearing a mask, which I have sort of photoshopped in there. Okay. In which the great horned owl appoints the newsbirds. Once upon a time, there was a big slowdown. For some animals, it was like a very bad cold, but it was much worse for others. The big slowdown spread quickly in the animal world. It changed everything for a while. The owls discovered the big slowdown first. They gathered all the newsbirds for important news briefings. Please tell them there'll be a bit of pandemonium for them now, so they must just stay home as much as possible. Heroic helpers are working to make it better, said the great horned owl. She was very wise indeed. Who are the heroic helpers? Asked a newsbird. Animal doctors and nurses, food gatherers, fixers, cleaners, transporters. They're heroic helpers, the great horned owl replied, shifting her big fuzzy feet. They are frontline animals who leave their safe, cozy den each day to make the world better. The owl asked the newsbirds to help all the animals staying busy. To tell all the animals staying busy would help. We are all in this alone together, she said with a hoot. The newsbirds hurried to spread the word branch to branch. Bravely, they left their cozy nests each day to soar and swoop and tell the news to all the animals. During the big slowdown, we must do social distancing. You must stay apart from any animals who live in other households, a newsbird told the chipmunk. Just for now, until the pandemonium is over, just stay home as much as possible and wash your hands and cover your coughs and don't touch your face. Check in on your neighbors. Make sure everyone's okay in your neck of the woods, just like you would want them to check on you. It's the golden rule, the newsbird said. What's a pandemonium? Is it a bear? And what's a golden ruler? Is that for drawing? The curious chipmunk asked. He wasn't sure he liked the sound of that bear thing. The newsbird chuckled. Pandemonium is when there's lots of changes, too many changes, all at once. Then animals don't know quite what to make of it all, she said. Pandemonium means big confusion in the now. The golden rule means to treat others the way you would wish to be treated. It was a very strange spring. Face wear became the latest fashion for every bunny. And there's a picture of a chocolate bunny with a mask on. My face wear protects you, your face wear protects me, sang the mother rabbit. Golden rule. It was important to stay at least 6 rabbits apart for the now. When you're out, she told her bunnies. The bunnies waved and yelled, "Hello, how are you?" to the other rabbit families across the garden. They shouted jokes. What did the rabbit say to the other rabbit? "Some bunny loves you." They laughed. But outside, they stayed at least 6 rabbits apart, and usually much further than that. All right, that's the beginning of the book. So there you go. Look at all the claps. Thank you.
How do I Zoom laugh? I know this is Zoom.
That was great, Jacqueline. Very great.
Thank you.
I can't wait to actually see the book.
I know, fun, right?
It's
Lots
so fun.
of masks.
I can totally picture it.
So, Carl,
I don't
who's
see
next?
anybody else raising their hands. So if you've got a microphone out there, raise your hands.
Where's your hand?
Now, you might want to check to see if there's anybody out there that doesn't know how to raise your hand. If you know how to raise your hand, raise your hand.
Sounds very much.
Just kidding. Thank you, Jacqueline. Okay.
I'm just gonna unmute people for a minute.
Yeah.
You can all talk to us. And if anyone has any questions, so everybody might have the prompt to unmute.
Yeah, we're unmuted. I wanted Jackie to hold her book up.
I don't have the
Jackie,
button yet.
come on. You must have a copy.
I can share screen. You want me to try it?
Sure.
Huh? All right.
Colin Clancy has her hand up and I has their hand up. Please don't share right now, please. First time. So there's
Kathy has her hand. Okay.
okay. I've been unmuting everybody. So
He's trying.
Whoa.
I can't mute off.
Hey, Winter, no sharing, please.
Everybody talking
from Cat.
and mute.
Oh, look, we got a cat.
Kat, do you have your hand up, Kat? I can't see.
Only you have your hand up.
No, in Zoom.
Oh, how do you do that?
Under reaction.
Go to participants and it should say raise hand. Dog wants to speak.
There's always one.
Why not?
Can I speak for just a minute? It's really fun. It's really crazy.
No, don't see anything on there. Oh, reaction.
Muted to everyone. So could you just say hi from Winter so we can all
Hello.
mute yourself?
I think it's good winter.
Start with Winter. Say hello from Winter.
Hello.
That works. Hi, winter.
Hello.
Okay, and Stephen, you don't speak right now.
Okay.
So Winter, say hello and happy isolation, and then mute yourself. And then someone else do it. Jacqueline. Someone
Sorry,
Hi,
Okay, I
it's
caught some
Lori.
of that.
If your hand's raised, lower it after you've. Well, here we go. Jacqueline said hello.
hello.
Thank you. Hi, Rory.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Say hi from Kat.
Hi, Kat.
If I can do that. Yay, bigger thumbs up.
And Jacqueline Swan, can you say hello and mute?
Oh, hi, it's Jackie Swan.
Hi, Jackie.
All right, I don't know why my picture's not showing up. What do I
Yeah,
have?
we see you.
Yep,
Oh,
we
you
see
see
you.
me. Okay, good. Now, I still haven't figured out how to raise my hand. I've gone to the participants that says 21, but there's nothing else there that tells me how to raise my hand.
Click on.
Interesting.
At the very bottom
Do I
of
have
the
to click on-
participant.
I see participant. Do I have to click on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's the triple dots next to the participants button. I just figured it out.
It's the
Oh, good
triple
job.
dots next to the participants button. I don't have any triple dots. Not
Okay.
it says participants 21, but there's no triple dots there.
Click on participants 21 and a panel will pop up on the right-hand side.
No.
Okay.
Do I have to click twice? Oh, there it is. Okay, but now it disappeared. Okay, try again.
Okay, where are you now?
Yeah. Oh, there's some people. All right, then what do I do over there to raise my hand?
Down at the bottom.
Go to the bottom?
Where are you?
Bottom of the little box.
Oh, I see where it says invite, mute me, raise hand.
Click on raise hand.
Oh, all right. And then what happens?
Then
Where are
there's a
you?
little blue hand by your name.
Yeah, and then I lower it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There.
All right. But obviously I can just talk if I'm unmuted and I'll show up. So is raising my hand just being polite?
Well, you're going to be muted.
I
And then
am.
when you raise your hand, Char will know that it's your next one because I'll tell Steven you're up next.
Okay. But I don't plan to say anything. I just plan to listen tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Isn't this fantastic?
Right on.
So whoever's going to speak next, please raise your hand. Unless we're going to go into the speakers.
Okay, can I just stop for a moment? So Colleen's iPhone, your audio is not connected, so we can't hear you. You can click on a button to switch on your audio if you want to. I see Colleen Clancy. So
Yes, I unmuted myself. I was on two devices at once, which I didn't realize. I had my iPhone and my iPad on. So
There's something I can read.
here's Tamesh and myself.
Oh, you're looking great.
The inaugural Zoom meeting at Char's Landing. So cool. Thank you.
our first one.
Woohoo!
Rory, can you please mute yourself?
Mute me.
Warrior, you have talked to us already. Can you please mute yourself? And we haven't heard from Bob Franco, but he's sitting right here next to me. And when he unmutes, it explodes because of all the reverb. So Bob is here. Hey, Bob, why don't you run up to the mic? Steve, here to the side. Bob, go to the mic and say hello. Say hi, Bob.
Hello, everyone.
Yay! There we go. Okay, so Derek Hanebury, you've already said hello, Derek and Jocelyn.
Yeah, we're here. Hello.
Hi.
We'll mute.
Okay,
Sarah Finch.
perfect.
Okay, and then Nancy Webster, one of our co-hosts tonight, if you want to mute. And is that Kathy, there's Kathy, is it Kathy Avalon Farms, Kathy?
Yes.
Are you there?
Oh, hey, Kathy! That's what I thought it was.
I
You're looking
can't
good.
stay on very long. It's just so nice to see everybody. Oh my goodness. I have another meeting coming up, but I just thought I'd pop in and say hi.
Oh, hi, Kathy. You're looking good.
Okay, so if you want to mute yourself, I'm sorry, and then Carl, so we got Carl, Nancy, Kathy.
I'm muting myself now.
Karen Poirier, can you please mute? Are you? So, Carl, would you please mute Karen Poirier, please?
Karen Poirier.
Is it okay if we start our feature now with Derek? I'm exhausted.
I think maybe that's a good idea. I was thinking that. Let's just go right in with the features.
No, she's muted. Okay. Yeah, let's go with the features. Features, I mean.
Unfortunately, I didn't get an introduction written for you, so introduce yourselves, please.
Go, Derek.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for coming, and thank you to Char for organizing this, Stephen for hosting, and Nancy Weber for helping, and Carl for managing, and what a community activity this is. It's awesome to see. And I think once we get the bugs worked out of this and everybody starts to get comfortable, I can see this could be a really good way to get us through this COVID isolation. So it's a little more quiet. Yeah. Anyway, we were planning to to launch our book back in March at Char's, and then COVID interrupted everything, and we ended up postponing. And then last week, Char got a hold of us and said, "How about launching this week?" And we said, "Sure, why not? Let's do it on Zoom like you suggested." And here we are. So we're excited to be doing this. First time I've ever launched anything purely online like this, so it's all a grand experiment. We're happy to be doing it. I want to give a big shout out also to Colton Nelson, who's probably sitting on Vicki's elbow right now. He's our publisher, who generously supported us in this book. His original idea was to do a collection of short stories with himself and another person, and whoever else wanted to jump in. I sent a few, and then we started looking at it and thought, well, maybe they don't really belong together. Maybe a collection with other writers would be better. And so I contacted Libbie and Vicki, and they were ex-students of mine at the college who were great writers. And I said, hey, you want to be part of a collection? And they were more than eager to jump in. So the three of us ended up putting this book together called Both Sides Now. I'll show you. Does that look backwards? Yeah, it looks backwards. The writing's backwards, I guess. But anyway, we've all got about 4 stories in there, and I'm going to read a piece of one of mine, and then after that, Vicki's going to read part of hers, and Libbie will read one after that, and just give you a little bit of a flavor of the book. My story is called The Blessings of Parasites. And it's, I'm going to give you a bit of a summary so that I can just read parts of it. I don't want to, it's hard to keep attention in this format for too long. So I'm going to read a couple of short passages for it and fill you in with enough of the rest of the story. So the basic premise of the story is about a woman. She's a university student from Newfoundland. I'm mining my ancestral heritage here. Both my parents were from Newfoundland originally. And the protagonist is, she's going to school on the mainland, and she's come home for Thanksgiving. And her brother, her older brother, is kind of a fixture on the couch and is really kind of in a bit of a funk. Not clinically depressed, but definitely there's something that's affecting his life and keeping him from moving forward with his life. And so the story is really about how sexual abuse in childhood can affect a family, and how in this story, it's sort of the stuff is going to eventually float to the surface by the end. When she gets home, her mother says, "Oh, you know," she says, "Oh, how's Jamie doing?" She said, "Oh, well, you know, fine. You know, we had a leak in the roof, so he went up and he put all these pails up on the rafters to catch the drips in the roof, and you know, that's his way of fixing things." Which is actually how a landlord of a friend of mine responded to her leaky roof in town here. Is where I got the idea. But it kind of becomes a metaphor for the way that history, you know, you can ignore that kind of history, but eventually, you know, the pails are going to overflow, right? And so that's what happens in this story. So I'll put on my specs so I can read the fine print, and we'll dive in here. So this is after she's got home, and her and her mother have gone out in the evening to pick up some groceries, and they're just chatting as they're going along. So the I in the story is the protagonist, the young gal, the university student. She's a history student. "So does he ever get up and do anything?" I ask. "Who, Jane?" "Oh, sure, he gets up and limps to the toilet now and then. He keeps threatening to go down and get a job with one of them offshore oil outfits, but he never seems to make it downtown except to cash his pogey check and buy some more beer. Sometimes I think we never should have left Flat Rock, you know." "Wasn't a lot of choice, Mum. Not after Dad died and the cod dried up." "Oh, I don't know. We'd got by somehow, I'm sure. I got all that insurance money, you know. I could have set up a little shop for the tourists selling lobster pots and seashells. Jamie could have kept a little dory there and puttered around on the sea." "Why'd we leave then?" My mother clears her throat and rummages in her purse for a cigarette. "Father Hillier," she says as she lights up. "He came to see me after Dad died. He knew what was coming down the pike with the fisheries. He knew my job at the cannery weren't going to last. He was real certain we should clear the hell out of Flat Rock and start over in St. John's. For your children's sake," he kept saying, "for your children's sake." I remember the first time Father Hillier came to visit. He was a tall, slinky of a man with wrists that hung out past his shirt sleeves. We kids used to call him the missing link, even though we weren't supposed to put any faith in Mr. Darwin and any of his so-called theories. Jamie was out skylarking with the Clary boys, and I was alone in our bedroom, eavesdropping, if you could call it that. My dad used to say you could hear the mice fart in the crawl space of that house. The walls and floors were like giant transmitters that picked up each whispered word and broadcast it to the far end of every room. The only place to have a private conversation was in the outhouse. "This new cannery could really turn things around for Flat Rock," said Father Hillier. "Anything that gets us off the federal tit is good news in my mind," my father said. "You'll have to forgive Floyd's French," my mom said. "What he means, Father, is the hind tit." I could hear the teapot clinking as my mother made the tea and put a few lemon biscuits out on a saucer. "It's a cozy house you have here, Mrs. McLean." "It keeps the rain off our heads, Father Hillier. And how are you enjoying the parsonage?" "It will suffice," said Father Hillier. "How many bedrooms have you got here now?" "Two," my mother said. "One for us and one for the brats. So don't be getting any ideas about moving in." "Oh, I wasn't thinking that," he said. "She's just pulling your leg, Father. If you're going to stay in Flat Rock, you'll have to get used to that. If you runs into Edith on a Wednesday and she got no teeth in, she's likely going to tell you it's my day to wear the dentures. But it's not true, Father. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my days. She can't be trusted." I kind of tuned out then, went back to combing my doll's hair, until a bit later when I heard Father Hillier saying something about the sinfulness of having children of the opposite sex in the same bedroom. The air went really quiet then. Even through the walls, I could feel the red heat of my mother's cheeks as she said, "Well, maybe the church would like to pay to add on another bedroom then, or should we move one of them in with us maybe?" "There's always the couch," said Father Hillier, "at least until the fish plant gets going and you folks can afford to expand." That night, my mother made up a bed on the couch for Jamie, and he slept there every night for 2 years until Mum got the job at the cannery, working the light table, picking the worms out of the cod fillets. "Praise be to Jesus and the worms," she used to say every night as we sat down to eat supper. "Praise be to Jesus and the worms." When we got back from the grocery store, Jamie is watching a Fear Factor rerun where the contestants have to swallow a slug. Mom goes to bed after Jamie bums another cigarette, and I tell him to scooch over so I can have part of the couch. What some people won't do for money, I say. I'd be gagging before it got past my lips. Maybe the first time, Jamie says, but I bet you could get used to it. People can get used to just about anything. Not me, I say, not slugs at least, or spiders for that matter, and I shudder like someone just let the cold night into the room. I look at him out of the corner of my eye as he watches the screen and smokes. I feel like if I look hard enough, I'll be able to see the kid I grew up with. The kid who rode his bike as if the pedals were part of his feet. The kid who threatened to kick the arse off of anyone who dared try to hurt his little sister. His hair is dark and thick as it ever was, like a scruff of curly black lamb's wool, but it looks like it hasn't seen shampoo in a week. A layer of fat has grown over his cheeks, making his cheekbones blend in with the other contours of his face. I notice a small scar showing white in the dark stubble of his sideburn, where he burned himself with the candle snuffer when he was an altar boy. He's wearing the same old flannel shirt he was wearing the last time I came home. People in concentration camps ate roaches just to stay alive, he says. I think about telling him about the Crusades and the evidence suggesting that some of the Crusaders actually practiced cannibalism at times. Instead, I say, sure, and survivors of remote plane crashes ate each other, but that's not to say they liked it. You've obviously never tried arse tartare, quips Jamie, and a wisp of a smile flashes across his face. For all of half a second, I glimpse a recognizable part of that imp I grew up with. The one who taught me to swear at the age of 4, got his butt tanned for doing it, and laughed when he told me about it later. So then they go to bed, and Jamie goes out in the night. About midnight, he leaves and comes back about 3 o'clock in the morning. She hears him bumping down the hall because he's obviously a little drunk. So the next day, there is the big Thanksgiving dinner. So my mother jams big handfuls of breadcrumbs and onions into the gaping cavity of the turkey. The giblets are boiling in a small saucepan on the stove, and the smell of sage hangs heavy in the air. Outside, the fog has turned to rain, and it runs in streaks down the window over the kitchen sink. I imagine the buckets up in the attic slowly collecting the rainwater. It must have warmed up or it would be snow. Further north along the coast, it probably is snowing, and for a moment I imagine it piling up around our old shack in Flat Rock, falling on the abandoned roof of the cannery. At 5 o'clock, we sit down to a table loaded with mashed potatoes, stuffing, and turnips, a bowl of thick gravy, some canned peas, and a stack of white bread on a saucer. The bird sits baked to a crisp brown the way I like it. Mom's gone all out, considering what she pulls in working part-time at the liquor store. It still feels odd without Dad, though he passed away years ago. More history, I think. Why can't I let it go? Just for one meal. Who cares about the past anyway? Who cares besides me and a few other nerds holed up in those dark university libraries reading ourselves blind? Praise be to Jesus and the worms, she says. Let's dig in. Mom starts picking at the white meat on the turkey plate and then passes it along to Jamie, who has already scooped half the bowl of cranberry jelly onto his plate. I suppose you'll be wanting the Pope's nose, she says. Jamie places his napkin around his neck and shoulders like a shrunken robe, and with his fork in hand starts to make the sign of the cross over the turkey. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Gobbler, he says, and spears a leg. And suddenly I see him as a kid again. We're in the bedroom with a candle lit. We have a plastic cup with some water and red food coloring in it, and a plate full of lemon biscuits. My doll and his bear kneel before us, and Jamie says, "Drink of this, for this is my blood," as he holds the cup to my doll's mouth. "And eat of this," I say, "for this is my body." As I bend over to give her a biscuit, I feel Jamie's bony hips press up against my backside. I can't remember what happened next. I think I pushed him away, but I remember thinking about what Father Hilliard had said to my mother and thinking that maybe he had it right after all. As I take the plate of turkey from my brother, I feel the heat start rising in my cheeks. How is it that the body sometimes knows things before the mind can even think them? By the time the light turns on in my brain, my knees are weak as seaweed. All I can think is, how on God's green earth am I ever going to be able to bring this up? I may be a whiz at history, but no one ever taught me to talk about it, especially this kind of history. Fortunately, he's too intent on what's dripping onto his plate to notice the look on my face. It begins with a few drops and then turns into a steady stream of brown water pouring out of the light fixture. It mixes with the cranberry sauce on his plate and forms a pale red pool around his turkey leg.
Okay.
For a moment, we all sit there too stunned to move. In the gap, I imagine the row of pails in the attic all full to overflowing.
All right. Thank you, Derek.
I can feel the absolute weight of them bending the rafters. I can picture the ceiling buckling and the whole mess coming down in a pile of soggy drywall and old mouse droppings. But nothing like that happens. Oh Christ, says Jamie as he places his cutlery back on the table. I push my chair back and stand up. I'll get a pail, I say. And that's it. Sorry if that went on too long. So before you mute me there, Carl, I'm just going to introduce Vicki, who's going to follow me up. So Vicki is, as I said before, one of my past students, but I think of her just as a fellow writer these days. She's a great writer, and she's been shortlisted for many contests and published in different places. And this is her first real book collection that's come out, and she's got a solo novel that's going to be coming out with Colton probably in the new year here, and we're looking forward to that. We've been reading parts of it over the years here, and it's a beautiful book, beautiful. So Vicki, take it away.
Thanks, Derek. And thank you to Char and Steve and everybody that I haven't seen for so long. It's great to be reading with you again. I'm going to read part of a story from the book called The Trouble with Girls. And this story takes place in 1965. And it's about a young sexual predator named Buck, who has fled to one of the Gulf Islands to hide from something bad he did in the Chosen. At that time, there were no police on the island, and houses were separated by large tracts of forest. He meets and pursues Melissa, who is only 12. It is after 9 when Buck edges his way along the outside wall of the Longman house, feeling the rough shingle siding catch against his shirt. He has decided he won't go in unless the kids are asleep. He doesn't want anybody but Melissa to see him. He just wants to be with her, no one else. The steps are quiet as he puts his weight slowly on each one, climbing easily to the back porch and the kitchen door. He leans forward, fingers braced against the door jamb, and peers through the window into the kitchen. The table is clean and bare, chairs pushed in. Across the room on the counter is a large yellow plate with 3 cookies and a scattering of crumbs. He can't see the sink, but he would bet there are empty glasses in there. Good, he thinks. The kids have had their snack and are probably already in bed. For a few minutes, he keeps completely still, listening for any sounds that might tell him what is happening in the house. All he can hear is the television, so he knocks softly, waiting to hear her feet, to see her crossing the kitchen to check who it is. He imagines how her face will look when she sees him standing at the door, her mouth stretched in a wide smile, blue eyes looking up at him. Clutching the fresh bag of jujubes in his pocket, he holds his breath as he sees her approach the door. Then the knob turns and the door opens. She is surprised to see him and glances toward the stairs. "You can't come in," she says. "Vera doesn't allow me to have visitors when I'm babysitting." He manages to push past her. "It's only me," he says with a grin, both hands clutching the front edges of his unzipped jacket. Then he leans in close and whispers, "I'll be as quiet as a mouse, I promise." She glances once again towards the stairs and then tells him to take his shoes off before she leads him through to the living room. She is wearing jeans and a boy's plaid shirt with sleeves rolled up. Her warm, silky hair spreads across her shoulders, rippling softly as she walks. She sits on the couch and Buck sits close beside her. They start to watch Gunsmoke. "That mean dog is gone," she says, turning to look at him. She sounds happy, and he watches her for a moment, wondering if he should tell her it was him, but he doesn't trust her enough to confess that he has killed it. "It probably attacked the wrong person," he says. "You think somebody shot it?" "Yeah." He is disappointed that he can't trust her with his secret. He had imagined giving her the news about the dog and she hugging him with gratitude and lightly kissing his cheek. But now she only turns away and looks at the television again. He feels underestimated and unappreciated. She needs to realize how much he cares for her, how much he thinks of her. He slides his arm along the back of the couch and leans in close to her, his lips brushing the side of her face. She seems startled and turns her face towards him, eyes wide, and their noses bump. He manages to kiss the side of her mouth before she pulls away. "Don't, Buck." "It's okay." He puts his face in her hair and kisses her neck. Instantly, she twists away from him and stands up. "Stop it." Buck sits in silence for a moment, trying to understand why she has pulled away from him. He has walked with her, talked with her, bought her candy, and watched her for weeks. Why doesn't she see how much she means to him? What is wrong with her? He stands up and grabs her arm. "Don't pull away from me. I just want to kiss you." She manages to wrench her arm free, but he strikes her hard on the side of her head with the back of his hand, and she drops to the floor. She lies there with her hair falling across her cheek, looking up at him with frightened eyes. He stands over her, wanting to hate her for making him hit her, for not letting him kiss her or put his hands in her warm golden hair. But it is Melissa looking up at him, the same Melissa who spoke to him as he dug Old Lady Burton's garden, who walked with him on the access road, shared jujubes with him and told him about the dog. Melissa, whom he has thought about day and night for weeks, wanting to take care of her, keep her safe, be her friend. He falls to his knees and hugs her to his chest, pressing her head close and kissing her cheek, her jaw, her ear, pushing his hand into her warm hair, rocking back and forth and whispering, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," as she whimpers in his arms. Eventually, she stops making noises, and he straightens up so he can look into her eyes. "You must never tell anyone what happened here, okay?" She nods. I won't tell anyone." She brings her hand up to her head where he hit her and winces. "Tell them you fell, that you hit your head. Don't tell anyone that I was here, okay?" She nods again. "Okay." "I just want to be your friend, Melissa." "Okay." He sits back and pulls the bag of jujubes from his pocket. She watches as he opens it and holds it out to her. "No, thanks." She looks up at him for a long moment, her blue eyes looking right into his. Then she puts her hand on her head. "Buck?" She says his name the way he loves to hear her say it, with her voice going up at the end. "Yeah?" "My head hurts. Could you get me some ice?" He jumps to his feet. "Stay there. I'll be right back." The tiny freezer compartment is coated in frost. Packages of frozen food are wedged in on top of the metal ice cube tray. He yanks them out and they hit the floor like slippery bricks, skittering across the linoleum until they hit the chair legs. The ice cube tray comes free, and he dashes back to the living room with it sticking to his fingers. Melissa is gone. He stands frozen for a moment, staring around the room. Then he sees that the back door is open. Flinging the tray away from him, he runs to the door and out into blackness. He manages to stumble across the small veranda before he realizes his shoes are still in the kitchen. With a hot, dark anger rising inside him, he turns and makes his way back into the house. The voice fills his head. She tricked you. She made you lose your temper, and then she tricked you. Just like all the others, they are all the same. He jams his feet into his shoes, flings open the kitchen door, and charges down the steps as the red rage wells up and pours out of him, filling the yard, the bush, the sky, until he pounds the air with his fists, filling the night with a scream he doesn't even know is coming from his own lips. He would show her, he would keep searching until he found her, and then he would teach her a lesson. He would teach her a lesson for pretending to like him and making him feel so bad, so unappreciated. Oh, he would show her all right. If he could just find her, he would show her. Thank you. And next up is
That's a great
Libbie.
job. Good job, Vicki.
Oh, thank you. Libbie and I have been writing for a long time. We met at Derek's class many years ago. And over that time, we have been in a writing group together, and we've been in other courses together. And Libbie writes poetry, and she writes creative nonfiction. And she was very brave because she did fiction for our book. And it was just been a wonderful experience with Derek and Libbie and Colton and I working together. So up next is Libbie. Take it away, Libbie.
Hi, everyone. Boy, so comforting to see everybody gather again. I've really missed all of that. It's pretty exciting stuff. And I too have to mention that I've been very well taken care of, very encouraged, very prodded, and pushed, sometimes kicking and screaming along by Colton. and the support that I've gotten from Derek and Vicki to, come on board and do this writing together has been really satisfying. So I hope you enjoy it. This piece is called The Circus. I will read the introduction to it. I'll ease into the story and I will not cover all of it. But really it is a story of how we are, I think, born with an innate sense of what our survival is and our intuition, and very quickly, through conditioning, we are thwarted. So the story is one of courage, I hope. So it's called The Circus. I handed in my ticket all by myself, on tippy toes, pushed it along the counter, and a big hand ripped it in half, returned my stub and pointed towards the stairs. I had made it, free from mother and father always watching me. I had told just one little white lie. No, I would not be alone. Maria from my class will sit with me. I was pretty sure the fib was a venial sin and easily confessed. The ticket stub for the Canadian National Exhibition Circus was clearly stamped by section and row and seat. So after lining up at the concession and clutching my bag of popcorn and small cup of Coca-Cola, I headed for the wide metal stairs and started to climb. I climbed, and as I climbed upwards, the sounds became more muted from the arena below. Finally, I reached the last landing and passed through the gray arch into the massive main tent. All around me lay a sea of gray wooden benches. I looked up. The roof was so close I could see bird poop on the rafters. I found the row and the number of my seat. I felt so excited and pleased that I had found it all by myself. I thought I had the best spot ever. I could see everything from up there, the whole tent, all the levels of benches from the gray down to the blue ones and the green ones below, right by all the sawdust and the 3 colorful wooden rings on the tent floor. I probably wouldn't have said anything to anyone, but I was secretly glad not to be in the greens. I felt kind of worried about being too close to the animals, especially the lion. The music started up and the lights began to dim. I looked all around the gray seats, and except for a few older boys and girls smoking and laughing way on the other side, I was on my own. I wondered if everyone else from my school would show, because Sister Bernadette said all our tickets were in this special place together. I had already settled in with my popcorn and Coke when I heard the sound of metal banging. It got louder and louder and louder until a swarm of boys burst through the archway. I knew a few of those faces from school. We all called them the Irish gang. They never went anywhere without each other. They weren't stopping at all to find seats in the gray section, but yelling and swearing and punching each other, they ran over across the tops of the wooden benches all the way down to the blue wooden barricade below. One by one, like mini G.I. Joes, they boosted and pulled each other up and over the dividing wall, landing in the section below. As the last boy straddled the top, he looked over and sneered at me, like they always did, and dropped to join the gang. I continued to watch them as they scrambled all the way down and into the green zone, where the benches were packed full of kids and adults. No one seemed to care that the mob from St. Mike's had snuck into the expensive section. I stared for a while, and then I felt temptation. It looked like a very tall wall between the gray and the blue sections. What lay on the other side? How far down would I drop? How would I lift my leg over without my panties showing? What if I tore my dress? Then Mother would ask too many questions. Or what if I got scrapes and slivers, or worse, blood on my new dress? And even if I did try, who would help me? Not those stupid boys. And if any girls from my class would show up, that would just mean extra trouble for me. They might even report back to their mothers, who might talk to my mother, or maybe to the sister, and she'd find out and she'd bar me from getting any further circus tickets. But at that moment, I was tempted to be loud, brave, dirty-mouthed sinner, just like those dumb boys. They just got away with everything. But being a good girl did have one reward. I would stay in my spot, gray section 30, aisle 12, seat 4, because God, right now, saw me as he sees all and loved me more than those sinners. Then, as if in agreement, the calliope from below started up and filled the tent with loud and commanding music. The 3 wooden rings lit up. The lights from above created bright white circles that danced around the tent. And with a flurry of color and dust, the clowns made their debut, stumbling and leaping and tumbling across the floor. Even though they looked small from up there, and I couldn't quite hear what they were saying, I laughed anyway, because that was what clowns wanted you to do. By now, my empty popcorn bag sat down at my feet, stained transparent with butter, and I sipped the last of my warm Coca-Cola, and when I got startled by a voice beside me. Oh, look, isn't this a surprise? My seat is right beside yours. I looked up. It seemed a very quiet voice for such a large, fat man. He wore a white shirt and dark pants, like the priests at St. Mike's, only he had white hair. This is nice, he said, as he brushed the few popcorn bits off the bench and settled down. We can keep each other company. And that is where I'm going to leave her, sitting on that bench. Thank you. I don't know who I'm supposed to introduce.
Well, actually, Libbie, nowadays, or at this moment, you can have a break.
Wait, hold on.
Mute everybody.
Everybody's
host, Carl and Nancy, let me do the unmuting, please. Let me do it. Do you hear me? You guys are awesome, but I'm very confused. So let me do it because I got too many devices in here. Stephen, go ahead. I'm going to unmute everyone gradually, and let's have a discussion period with our feature.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to unmute people. If you could accept the unmute, and please join in on the conversation and ask Derek and Libbie and Vicki questions. It will be fun, I promise. Stephen, go ahead and talk.
All right. Well, thank you, Charlene. So, that was great, wasn't it? Come on, yay! So yes, raise your hand if you got a question for one of our feature readers. Come on, let's keep our co-hosts busy. Come on. Anybody got a question?
They don't have to raise their hands, just ask.
Oh, just speak up.
Well, the theme of sexual abuse, Colleen here, seems to be running through all the three stories. And it's powerful, from a third person to first person account to, so did you have these stories in the waiting and you shared them, or did you decide to create a book with this common theme? How did you decide to create a book with these powerful themes?
I'll respond. You want as a start? I mean, we hadn't originally, sat down and said, "Oh, let's do a book with sexual abuse as a theme," but that just kind of happened synchronistically, I guess. We all had written stories that shared similar themes that way, and so when we brought them together as a collection, they seemed to fit well in that sense. And that's what I think I was saying earlier, that we had originally thought about doing a collection with Colton and another writer, that the writing didn't sync up in the same way. We tend to write kind of realism, and that theme just seems to be, I don't know, we all grew up in that time when it was like nobody thought sexual abuse happened, and yet all of us knew people and had that fed into our fiction or whatever, and so it just kind of came organically that way, I guess.
But yet saying that, not all of the pieces are focusing on sexual abuse. I think a lot of them focus on moral struggle and having to tap into strength and honesty. What's really important. Yeah.
It's funny, I was looking at some of my pieces going, no, that one's too dark to share, that one's too dark to share, and then you guys do your set, and it's very dark and gritty and disturbing. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so prevalent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, reality for so many people. Yeah.
And I think it is from day one, because we're vulnerable and we're innocent in the beginning, or we're molded very quickly into having to make some survival decisions.
Mm-hmm.
There was no support for women and girls back, in the 60s or whatever. Your advice, if you went to your mother or your friend to tell them that someone had abused you, was just, well, stay away from him, dear, don't go near him again.
Yeah.
There was nothing legal that you could really do. Not like today.
No.
And for some families, it's about saving face.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I went to a boarding school in Kenya, East Africa. Excuse me. And did 8 years there in school as an American. Boarding school, 700 miles away from home, for 3 months at school and then 1 month at home. Interesting that it was later on worked on a ship for 3 months and then 1 month at home for 5 years. But back to the boarding school, the physical abuse was unbelievable, early 50s, 50s. And that has stayed with me all my life. I thought it would go away. And there was a time when I was busy and young and I had children and you know, and later on, life was busy and work. It was kind of faded away, but it never goes away. It's like sediment settles into the bottom of a bottle. And if you don't shake it too much, it's okay. And I've had to have a couple sessions with my pastor, and we shook the bottle up and we dumped it all out, and it's gone. But the memory's still there. But it wasn't so much the physical abuse. It was a little kid walking the Green Mile, dead kid walking. And as I walked over toward the punishment room, and I won't go into what punishments they were there, physical, brutal, just torture. And it's done with, but at that time, I think it was spare the rod and spoil the child. Yeah. You know, and I've come to believe that if you have to put your hand on a child, you're doing something wrong. You know, surely we can deal with issues and train children and be with children, you know, without having to hurt them. Yeah, I know the horror of having gone through that, and that was a very powerful. Both of those presentations were very powerful and moved me greatly to hear that. You know, thank you for that. But
well said, Walter.
Yeah.
It does raise the question of do people get triggered when they read stories like this? Yeah. And does something need to be in the preface?
That was one of the reasons I said that right away at the beginning. I thought if this is going to be hard for someone, then they have the option to duck out now, because it is, yeah, there are lots of people that carry those wounds, and
I think part of that comes with respect to the reader, to hold them responsible and able to make decisions of how they move through a story.
Thank you.
I was wondering where the name came from. I love the cover and the name, and I was just wondering what the name meant.
Well,
yeah, Derek, tell them what.
Judy Collins' Joni Mitchell song. I think Joni Mitchell wrote it, actually. Both Sides Now. I've looked at life from both sides now.
Both sides now.
And so I love the idea that fiction is always a multi-level thing, and that at least looks at things from two sides. We have the exterior and interior, and of course, ideally there's going to be more levels than that. But I think that was part of the thing behind it, is that, you know, and the whole chorus of that song is that, you know, I've looked at things from both sides now, but I really still don't know them at all. And that's the reality, I think, in the stories too, that, you know, you're right to try and capture something as honestly as you can, and to bring it out in a way that other people can sort of understand it better. But at the same time, there's always parts of it that are just, I don't know, they're ungraspable. So yeah, that was what was rattling around in our heads, I think, when we kind of settled on that one. Anything to add to that, Libbie or Vicki? I don't know.
I think coming up with the title of a piece of work is the most difficult part of the whole thing. And of course, three different perspectives and people coming together to put, you know, this together. I think we did really well, you know, because it's a challenge, and that is true for all of us, you know, because we all go through that. Yeah.
Well, there's a interesting hearing that both sides now. This is a quote by Captain McMinn, who used to be the owner and captain of the Lady Rose. And I find it really interesting when he's talking about truth, both sides now. Where doth truth lie? perchance truth doth lie between sea and sky. Aye, that's where truth doth lie. It's a little fuzzy at times, you know, and the two sides of it. Exactly where it is sometimes is fuzzy, you know.
Interesting too, I think, in that we live in a time where things are so polarized and things that seem to be dividing up into camps, you know, both sides. and yeah, finding the bridge in between, and I think that's part of art's role, you know, is that art is trying to bridge that. It's trying to humanize things so that, you know, we can understand each other better and have more compassion for both sides of any story. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Jackie Swan wanted to speak. Unmute. Unmute.
Mute.
Okay, good. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed the parts that you read today, and how in general I have enjoyed your presentation on other nights at Wards on Fire.
Anyone else would like to
I'm going to be at the farmer's market on Saturday.
Yay.
I will buy a book, the first one of you three who gets there.
All right, Vicki and Libbie, I'll race you.
No, but I really would like, are the three of you selling it personally, or what is happening?
So you can, we can definitely get one to you, but Colton is sort of, you know, RCN Media is, he's handling most of the sales. So I don't know if his
Where is Vicki?
website, oh, there you are. Colton, speak to this.
Okay.
Yes.
So the book is available online. Actually, someone just bought it on the online store, and you can go to it by going to store.rcn.media, and they are available there. And they will all be signed. So if you want to order a copy, and we'll deliver it to your doorstep after they've been signed, as long as you're in Port Alberni.
Oh, wow. That's very nice.
Awesome.
That's good to think about. Excellent. Thank you.
Not too many publishers that give, you know, door-to-door delivery like that. That's pretty good.
I'll even give it
Only in Port Alberni.
Yeah.
So let's all actually applaud. It'll go crazy, but let's all have a quick break where everybody can talk, and everyone tell Carl if you want to, if you're going to be able to read for us.
Yes.
And does everyone know about chat? Because I've been putting in chat the link to buy the book. Does everyone know to go down to the bottom and click on chat? So you can see what you can chat and talk.
Yes.
Nose. Cat nose. Okay.
So it sounds like we're going to have ourselves a little break, eh?
Well, chat. And
Break. Bathroom break.
I just
break,
bought
whatever you
one.
need.
So what, about 10 minutes or so?
Sure, sounds good.
Yes. I'm exhausted, aren't you?
Long enough to fill up my glass of wine?
Everybody go potty break, get a glass of water, wine, or tea, and make sure Carl wants to put you on the list. I see Lori Blakely has just joined us. She was in France. But
She's back in France?
But she's come back.
Oh.
And Karen Poyes just chatted to say she's saying good night. I don't know if everyone saw that.
No.
Okay. I didn't think did.
Everyone, oh, sorry, Colleen, I will unmute you. I'm very confused right now, but I'll get there.
Okay. Everybody's muted themselves, I guess.
Well, hi, Carl. Rory here.
Hi, Carl. Rory. Are you gonna talk tonight?
Yeah, just put me on the list.
Okay.
Thank you.
Put Cat on the list as well.
Who?
Put Cat on the list.
Cat,
I have one poem that I wrote.
Okay, Cat's on the list.
I'm clicking on unmute.
Winter? Okay. Steven, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Carl.
Okay, so we're gonna go, when we come back from the break, we'll go Rory, Kat, and then Winter.
Rory, Cat, and Winter? Okay.
Boy, I've never heard Char's echo so much.
Yeah, this is awesome. My first time doing this. I've done a lot of Zoom, but not anything like this many people, so this is cool.
I've just started using Zoom with my stroke recovery group. We're meeting locally with the group, but also with the coordinators. And so I'm slowly, I think this is my fourth time being on Zoom, so I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah.
So it takes more than once.
Just try administering an open mic on your first Zoom.
Well, thank you, Char. Char, you have the hardest part. You gotta spotlight everybody, and that's the hard thing to do. Thank you, Char.
Hi, Tamash. Hi, Winter. You guys are awesome. I mean, you're family, right? But this is like just woo. So you're all good sports. Winter has his hand raised. Hi, Rory.
Yes, I see that.
You're in charge of writing them down and unhanding.
Yeah, I've got that. We got it.
This is really awesome. Lori, we haven't seen Lori yet. Lori, turn on your video and unmute. Au revoir, or how do you say in French?
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
We're not sure if Lori's going to come and see us.
Bonsoir, de vous raconter.
We wouldn't mind seeing Lori. It's been a while.
We're hoping she's got a refrigerator guy.
Maybe she's got Zoom instructions.
I could turn on the music, but I'm so. Do you have how many people do you have to read now?
We got 3 more people to read.
Bunny.
Listen, some of us are muted and can't unmute. So I keep trying
Okay.
So I think.
Cute little rabbit.
There's Libby. Okay. Okay, but Lori is busy
There we
cooking,
go.
so I don't want to unmute. Okay.
Oh, Lori says she.
Okay, who's building something back there?
Wait.
Remind people to mute themselves.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. It happens when, see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 devices. And I've only got one with the microphone. And if any of us accidentally unmute one of my 7 devices, we get the feedback. So we had Bob set up here with his laptop. And that, so I apologize. It's a little. So can we start with the next one? I'm trying.
Okay. Are you ready? Yeah. Steven,
Okay.
go ahead.
I think we were ready for Rory there.
Yeah.
Okay, Rory.
Can I be heard?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I have headsets on, so I can really hear everybody nicely.
Okay, Rory, sorry. Rory, unmute yourself, please. Unmute. Sorry, guys. Words on Fire 2, I'll do much better. Okay.
Can you unmute?
Wait. I have unmuted. Now, Rory, unmute yourself. Oh, shoot.
Okay, now, is that better?
Yeah. Yay!
Okay, thank you. So what I was saying is that the nice thing about Words on Fire is the feedback that you receive as you read and share. And this has allowed me to go back on some passages right from the beginning and actually even introduced new material Because my character is on the autism spectrum, I learned that sometimes one of the parents is highly protective. So I wanted to infuse some of that. So I wanted to go back and just go over a couple things with you. And my opening passage, which sort of introduces my protagonist, who's a 12-year-old boy. So we're back to young people from their perspective. And I thought I would review that with you. And then I'll just jump forward to introduce a section, a passage I introduced to show the concern and not so much a conflict between parents, but how parents work through a concern. So, the current of wind against his body left a huge crack in his go-with-the-flow facade. It was like an egg breaking in half, releasing a swarm of bees, targeting all his senses with an annoying hum. Then he was impacted by a curl of wind brushing up against his right leg, swirling around his torso, touching his left cheek and lifting a tuft of hair. With the unfurling of his fingers, he felt his own surrender to the incoming information. That breeze had much more to say to him. He registered smells that were musky and pungent. Next, the sweet smell of bear scat rose from a distant point to the left of him, followed by the rich smell of cedar, decaying plants, and some early huckleberries. All at once, he was assailed by the rush of sounds from the surrounding forest. A crow way above him was communicating its disapproval of his presence, leaping from a cedar branch with a swish and delivering 3 sharp caws. And then there was that annoying sound somewhere in the distance. He wanted to scream stop. He squeezed his eyelids tight and found refuge in the words that gave him comfort and another way of seeing the world that was always slamming against his nerves. His father's words reminded him that having high-functioning autism made him special and a better than most in detecting things in his environment. That his best approach was to process all sensory information into helpful information. So that's how I've rewritten the intro. Now I'm going to move to a passage I've introduced based on your feedback from Words on Fire. So Zach is now having the first opportunity being in, so this is the story of the Wizard of Strathcona. Zach and his family have landed in Strathcona Park and are at Ralph Campground. And they're encouraging their young son to go off on his own, which he's not really have done before. So this is this section. Adrian, the dad. Adrian smiled warmly and turned to him. Look, it's 10 after 11. Why don't you walk around the campground for the next hour and let me know how many campers there are. When you get back, we'll have lunch ready for you. And how does that sound? Zach took a big, satisfying gulp of soda, burped and said, sure. Then his forehead furrowed. What's that horrible sound? Some kind of high-pitched squawking over that way, pointing west. Adrian turned his head. Can't hear anything like that. Maybe some kind of birds chasing an owl. You know, young people about your age have an ability to hear sound frequencies that older people can't hear no longer. Hey, your old dad's getting deaf, he chuckled as he attempted to make eye contact. Zach was able to make a half-second eye contact with his dad before involuntarily shifting his eyes away to return to his gaze back at a map. Immediately, Alicia waved Adrian over to the side, just inside the tent. You can't be serious about letting him walk around this on his own, she whispered with a look of anxiety bordering on fright. Letting Zach walk around the campground is one of the simplest interventions we can do, Adrian whispered back. But this is Zach, she quipped back. Seeing Alicia was deeply concerned, Adrian softly replied, exactly, this is Zach. Look, we've both been concerned that Zach has siloed himself in his own world. There's no exploration beyond digital and being hunkered down in his bedroom. Remember when you were 12? Nothing would hold you back from being in the world. He can get lost or hurt, she replied. The big question is what can we do to build his self-esteem beyond holding his hand every time we try to put him in organized events? His sailing classes were the biggest thing he ever did. So here's our chance to do more for him. It's just a simple walk around the campground. Alicia's face shifted with the wisdom of Adrian's point of view. With a deep breath, she exhaled, okay. So that's all I have to share. I learned that I have to be more prepared for this because all my work is on my monitor and I can't get to it because I'm on Zoom. Okay. Thank you.
I believe we have Kat next. Is that right, Carl?
Yes, Kat is next.
Woo! Step up, Kat Berkeley.
Hey, I'm unmuted, I take it. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I wrote this, this was March 25th. I wrote this because of the pandemic. And the title is 2020, Peace on Earth. Peace on Earth, something we all desire. 2020, a wee little virus brought everyone to their knees. A curse or a blessing, both I believe. A curse that it took so many lives, a blessing that all wars ceased. Gaia, Mother Earth, during the ceasefire, repaired damages. Venice waterways again sported dolphins and waterfowl. The air cleaned up. Less cars, less jets flying, less exhaust fumes. Earth raised spring flowers and our hopes. People isolating themselves for the greater good, keeping physical distance between themselves, but sparking a greater closeness between friends and strangers, a feeling of hope for a future. Families riding bikes together, playing board games, people walking in the spring air, saying hi to strangers. People offering prayers and healing and emotional support for one another. Hearts in the window to show solidarity for humanity. From all over the world, wishes for everyone's wellness and safety. Suggestions on how to stay safe and how to keep busy doing fun things. Musicians posting themselves singing to raise our cheer, encouraging us to sing and dance. After this pandemic is over, I hope and pray we all get this message. We are one. We don't need wars. There's enough to share. We need to love and respect each other. We are all people. We are all live on Mother Earth. We are all earthlings. We are one. That's what I have.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me, Steve? I can't hear you, Stephen.
Okay, hey, Carl.
Yes?
Who's next on your list?
Winter.
Oh, hey, come on up, Winter. I feel like a game show host, guys. Come on. I'm not giving out any prizes.
Come on down.
Come on down.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yay!
Awesome. Okay, I've just got one short one. It's a lighthearted one. Usually I'm the one with kind of setting the darker tone, but I figured this would be a good one to read, and I have a prop. How to test the spiciness of a pepper. Step 1, cut off the very tip of a habanero pepper. Cut that tip in half, then cut it again. Step 2, take a 3mm square chunk and bite into it. Immediately spit it out. Step 3, no effect yet. It must not be that spicy. Step 4, much spice, very regret. Lips on fire, Step 4.5, regret everything. Step 5, open freezer door, get out carton of frostbitten vanilla ice cream. Step 6, apply face directly to ice cream. Hold until ice cream melts. Step 7, reflect on life choices. Step 8, wonder if this will make my lips full and red. Step 9, wonder if actual blisters will break out on my lips. Step 10, accidentally rub running nose with pepper contaminated hand. Regret level increases substantially. Step 11, grab the first jar of cold liquid in the fridge. It's pickle juice. Step 12, hold liquid against lips and slowly sip, savoring temporary relief. Step 13, pickle juice gone, panic sets in. Step 14, make out with a bag of frozen peas. Look out window, see neighbors staring at me in concern. Step 15, contemplate my existence as a white boy with no spice tolerance. Step 16, pain gradually subsides. Spice test complete. Final rating, much hot, very spice. That's it. That's all I got.
All right.
Thank you, Winter.
So Carl,
Yes?
has anyone else raised their hand?
Nope. So I think we'll go with Bob. I have not heard from Lori. So.
Okay. Yes, we'll go with Bob then.
Bob.
Oh, hey, guess what? Bob is only audience today. Ooh. Okay.
His battery died.
Is he your live studio audience for today?
Yeah.
That's right.
Is there anybody else who wants to raise their hand? We have Colleen and Jackie Swan, perhaps.
Oh, I don't see Jackie Swan anymore.
Maybe she left.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't see that, can you?
I can't.
No, you can't. So, Kathy Burkowski, Lori Berkeley, we haven't heard from her. She's still making dinner.
Okay.
And there's Kamash and Colleen. Colleen. Let me see. I can unmute.
Zoom to Colleen.
Zoom to Colleen. At least entertain us.
Okay. Yes, nothing tonight, but this is great fun. I'm looking forward to more of these opportunities to share, but also just listening tonight was fantastic.
Good community, right?
It was an awesome idea of yours.
Thank you, Tomash. It was a group effort, lots of support. It's nice to see everybody. Colleen, you could do Raven for us, but it's too.
Raven isn't.
I would need a hard copy, and I don't have it at hand. But anyway.
Well, it's good to see you guys. I see Lori's there. Lori.
Hello, Libbie.
I tried to unmute you, Lori, but I think you have to say okay.
Hi, I just want to say hi.
Hey, Lori.
Under the weather, and I've been busy cooking and eating, so I didn't want to have my mic or camera on. So I would just be a distraction. But I just want to say hello to everyone.
Oh, hello, Lori. We wish you could do a joke for us or something. I miss your stories.
I miss being there.
Sorry. Nothing to share, Lori?
Not really. I'm
Okay.
still here.
Yeah, you like that.
Tell everybody. Just tell the story of going to France and coming back. It's quite entertaining.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. So I was at theater school, also known as clown school, and our instructor, he's very French, although he does teach in English, or I wouldn't have been at the school. And I found it way more challenging than I imagined, i.e. I'm a much worse actor than I thought. And one of the scenes that we had to do was a Christmas scene where there was a choir singing in a church, and we had to come in. It was from a system called Melodram, so very melodramatic, and there's some specific things that you do within melodrama. You address the fifth gallery, hello, the people of Paris, and all of your actions are very big. And so into the church, we had to go with a baby in a bundle and abandon our child in the church. And of course, I'm the oldest student there, and I have 4 children. And I figured, okay, this is something I have got because I have kids. Nobody else here doing this exercise even has kids. So certainly this is something that I can portray the emotion of abandoning my child. So I start up the scene and I walk into the church, and our instructor bangs his drum and stops the scene, and he says, "Does she look like she's taking her sick cat to the vet?" So there we go. That's my time at school.
Does it look like she's
That was great,
the sick
Lori.
cat to the vet?
Okay. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Lovely to see everyone.
See you there, Lori.
Good.
Okay.
Another story.
Is there anybody else available? Carl?
No.
Available?
So we'll get everybody muted there, Char, and go with Bob.
Bob says no.
Oh, Bob doesn't want, he had technical difficulties.
Well, can he go up to the speaker and do it?
No more speakers.
Okay, does anybody want to go a second time?
Hmm.
Come on, Jacqueline, you must have something. Tell us something. Tell us a joke or something.
We're good. I think this has been a fun exercise.
Oh,
yes.
And I appreciate everyone for their indulgence. And what do you think? Do you think we'll get better at this and it's fun? And,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I think it's great.
You
will.
Thank you, Char.
Lots of practice.
Real opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes, it was awesome to do this again, even in this weird pandemic necessitated format. I'm glad that you guys worked together and made this happen.
Thank you. Thank you. And hey, I haven't heard any COVID-19 inspired writings.
No, too busy drinking.
Too busy drinking. Oh, there we go.
Well, thank you, Char, for doing this.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah,
Char.
really.
Very
And Stephen for coming out to Char's, and Eric and Libby as our feature readers, and to all the other readers. Thank you.
Stephen have his.
You too.
Oh, you bet.
Yay!
Oh, fun, huh? Like Derek said,
Oh, Kathy joined again.
But no evening here at the Alberni Valley Woods of Fire is complete without the Our Gratitude roll call. So, thank you very, very, very much to our beautiful and frazzled Charlene. Yay! To our wonderful feature readers, Derek Hanebury, Vicki Drybrough, and Libbie Morin. Yay! To all of our open mic readers. Yay! Keep going, Nancy, for helping the show run smooth. And yay! To me, if you want to. Yay! Back here, May 27th. I have forgotten who the feature reader scheduled is, but we'll get the word out a couple of weeks ahead of time. So keep your eyes on Facebook and email from Charlene. Keep writing, stay safe, and we'll see you in a month's time. Good night.
Night.
Night. Thank you,
Good
Char.
night.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
John boy.
Sure.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Good to see you all.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Thank you, Stephen.
Hello. I'm back. Hello.
I'm muting all. Muting all. Good. Great.
That was stressful.
Charlene's only 3 drinks in. What the hell?
Hey, 6 feet apart, remember? That's
Yeah.
We just survived the war.
That's my first hug in like, I'm just saying.
Hey, that'll work.
We just survived the war.
Oh, Char, you did a good job. Thank you.
Oh, you guys. That was.
We'll get better.
Yeah. Just looking. Yeah. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. But you're set up now.
Thanks, Char.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Char.
I hear you, Lori.
Bye.
Bye, Lori. Love you.
Miss you guys. Love you too. Miss you guys.
Miss you too.
Okay.
Oh. I'll mute myself.
Sorry, I will work out my group. I will work out my 7 devices.
No, you didn't. Sorry, for the first time, it was great. You did a good job. You did better than I could have done. Well, yes, thank you to, and also thank you, Nancy.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. It actually stuck pretty well to that itinerary that I wrote at the 1.5 estimated, and it gave room for like the 2 hour. It was good.
Yeah. No, we'll work all the kinks out here, and we'll get it working really well.
The only thing that I knew was going to be an issue was the whole wanting to unmute everyone. That's just not gonna work because that's too many environments that we can't control. Like, you know what I mean? As tech people, there's too many voices that will overlap, so it will cut out people and things won't be being heard what people are saying at all. So it has to stick. This is just us talking as tech people. It has to stick to timing to keep people on a, you know, just so they have a queue of time, you know, so that it stays in a format. Only because people will go on and it will extend, and you have to remember that you're running a show that has to stay in a guidelines, right? So that still, it worked out good to the 1.5 to 2 hour allotment. But for the mic thing, there's too many uncontrollable things that it needs to be what I think definitely is the texts are supposed to be like Char's right and left hand, basically.
Yeah.
So they go on her direction, sort of. So it's like she's the one that runs the room, but when she directs somebody to do, it's like when in the itinerary I had written like 3 tasks to Carl, 3 tasks to Nancy, tasks to Char, so that everybody had a place to monitor, basically. Yeah, so that's what texts are for. They monitor to make sure that things are running well on the stage, basically.